Hi, welcome to Green TV, the show that focuses on independent Green Party candidates and Green Party candidates and positive Green New Deal solutions. Eco jobs for the economy, solar jobs, wind jobs, geothermal jobs, rail jobs, efficiency jobs, conservation jobs, and of course, clean water, clean air. With us on the show today is Kate Alexandrova, and from the Chesapeake Bay Foundation, it's Dave Slater. First, we're going to go to an excellent video that Dave brought with us. This is spectacular. You're really going to enjoy it. Here, take a look.
I have heard the phrase, the bay starts here, and I would have to agree. Never really put it into perspective quite like going down to Tangier Island. It's one of those things you always hear as a slogan or an advertising. But until you get down there and meet the folks, they're dealing with the exact same issues that we deal with. Labor, regulations, permits, the economy. I started back in school with a handful of cows and had a ball with them. A lot of times when folks might be, classmates may have been at a party on a weekend, I was just happy to be knee-high in cow manure shoveling out the barn. It's just something you really got to enjoy, and I still do. It's peaceful to hop on a tractor and go mow 20, 30 acres of hay. I don't know, that's the best thinking time a man could ever get in. There's good days, there's bad days. When you enjoy what you're doing, the good definitely always outweighs the bad.
My family came over here during the Civil War time from Fredericksburg, and it was my great-grandfather. My grandfather, he was a waterman. I knew from an early age that it's what I wanted to do. Loved being on the water. They say if you love what you're doing, you never work a day in your life. Of course, then you have your days when it's very windy, rough weather, and especially in the wintertime, you not only deal with the rough weather, but you're dealing with freezing temperatures, ice on the boat, ice on the watermen. If the health of the bay is not good, and the watermen aren't doing good, and charter fishermen, it affects a lot of people, and it affects the economy. I have kids in college, and to put food on the table and keep everybody fed and put my kids through college, I need to catch quite a few crabs and oysters. And so far, it's working out.
I've learned that Tangier Island is really very much like the hometown I grew up with, small town. Everybody knows your business. Everybody knows when things are going well, when they're not going so well, when you need some help. And when somebody needs help, everybody pitches in. So I've personally enjoyed it, getting to know these families more over the last 9 years. The Chesapeake Bay is really an ecosystem out of balance. The major pollutant to the bay is excess nutrients, and they come from agriculture and urban and suburban runoff and a lot of other sources. The excess nutrients fuel the growth of algae blooms that then block the sunlight that's needed for the underwater grasses to grow. And when the algae dies, the natural process of decomposition sucks up all the oxygen that the critters need to live. We can only save the bay if we help control the runoff in the rivers and streams that feed it. Farmers are often disconnected from the bay because they live hundreds of miles away. So our real challenge was, how do we get farmers in the upper watershed to care more about the bay and possibly change their practices on their own farms? The whole purpose of the trip really is to give them an opportunity to enjoy the bay as much as we do, to experience it in their own way, in many different ways, and to have the opportunity to have conversation with people that live on Tangier Island.
The way it works, it has a bait pocket or a bait wheel in the bottom of it here. Where you put your bait has this lid with this strap.
We do run them through a day's worth of activities that we do with school kids and teachers out on our island centers.
So you'll have to kiss and rip 3 fish. Kiss first, then rip.
Bacon is just being a female.
So you take your fish, you don't have to rip it totally in half, just get it opened up.
I did the first and the second.
And they may only set 1 or 2 pots where the watermen here might be setting 400 and 500 pots every day. And they make connections with things they do on their farm, you know, milking 100 cows every day, twice a day kind of thing.
I was expecting we were going to go down and be told everything that we were doing wrong that was polluting the bay as farmers back here in the valley, but once you got there and met the folks, they're real world people.
It becomes very, very clear very quickly on the trip that the watermen are very much like the farmers. They're very independent. They like to be business for themselves. They have families they're raising.
It was a very good trip. Regardless of how much I had to do back home, I wouldn't trade them 3 or 4 days for anything. It was good to get to know everybody.
Hopefully they come back through the channel back here on our way home with a different feeling than they came on Friday. And so we hope that they'll make some changes, or at least talk to their neighbors about making changes if they've already done a lot of work.
Thanks for everything, Captain.
Oh, you're certainly welcome. Read the back, sis.
Yeah, you take care.
Yeah. Have a safe trip, man.
Any environmental practice that you may do to clean the water up, I think has to make you feel good. You know you're doing the right thing for yourself, but it makes a big difference when you get down to the bay and get to see those watermen and know that you're making a difference in their life as well. Initially in '96, we did fence all the cattle back away from Smith Creek. Since then, we've cut down on heavy traffic areas, mainly by putting water centrally located in the fields and in fields where cattle didn't have to track. That has helped greatly. Through NRCS programs, I reckon we've installed a couple automatic waters. We've installed some cross fencing, pipeline, which was a great help. Some of those things would have not been possible without the help of Chesapeake Bay and NRCS. By doing these best management practices, my cattle are drinking cleaner water. The health is definitely better on them. At the same time, I think we're keeping more nutrients here on the farm and getting the benefit of them. And in turn, we're still keeping those nutrients from getting into the water as well.
Some of the watermen, they've started practices that improved the bay. And they weren't forced to do it. They did it on their own. And if we were doing something that was detrimental to the farmers, they wouldn't have to force me to change what I was doing to help them out. I'd be happy to do it. I want the farmers doing well because I appreciate what they produce, and it's very important.
We've made a lot of progress cleaning up our streams and rivers in the bay over the years, and we're actually about halfway there. The Chesapeake Bay Clean Water Blueprint is a plan that's going to help restore the bay. If we can follow that plan, we can save the bay and have clean water not only for the farms, but our watermen, our children, and our grandchildren. If we can work together, each of us can make a difference.
Welcome back. That was great, Dave. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Did you like it, Kate?
Oh, I loved it. Absolutely. It's fascinating.
All right, the Chesapeake Bay Foundation, what the heck is that?
Well, Chesapeake Bay Foundation has been around since 1967. It's a large regional organization. We've got offices in a small office in Washington, D.C., and then an office in the state capitals in Virginia, Maryland, and Pennsylvania, because those are the three key states right now for the Chesapeake Bay cleanup. Our headquarters is in Annapolis in the first Platinum LEEDs building in the country. Beautiful building to work in. And we actually just built a building in Hampton Roads that's a zero net energy building. It's the Living Building Challenge. It's got 2 turbines and recently had an unplugging ceremony where we took it off the grid. It was pretty neat.
You guys walk it like you talk it?
Yeah, that's really what I think is the best thing about the organization. We really do walk the talk. We're in the field with farmers, helping them implement practices on their farms that'll lead to cleaner water. We're working with watermen to make sure their oyster catches are growing. So it's an organization that walks it.
And I know that you had to defend the Chesapeake Clean Water Blueprint from fierce legal and political attacks. And as we all know, Green Party candidates, they face a lot of challenges when dealing with big parties, large institutions, because the resources are not that big, but they do have to know those strategies to navigate in this sometimes hostile environment. So I would really love for you to tell us about your strategies as far as those legal and political fights go.
Mm-hmm. Well, the plan that you're talking about is the Chesapeake Clean Water Blueprint, and that's the federal state cleanup plan for the Chesapeake Bay. It's a monumental plan because it's the largest of its kind in the country. It's succeeding. And if it succeeds, it will prove that we have the ability in this country to clean up an entire watershed. And this is a huge watershed we're talking about. The Chesapeake Bay Watershed goes all the way from Cooperstown, New York, to the mouth of the bay down in the Virginia Beach, Hampton Roads area. It's 64,000 square miles, 6 states and the District of Columbia. So this is a huge undertaking. And immediately after this cleanup plan was established, the American Farm Bureau Federation did come in and contest it in the courts. And this is a plan it's really hard to be against this plan. It's got bipartisan support. We've got economic studies showing that this is going to be good for the region. So it's been very disappointing to have to fight this so vigorously in the courts.
What is the best? We'll come back to this in a moment, if I may, Dave. But folks are watching Green TV, where we focus on green positive solutions. Dave Slater is here from the Chesapeake Bay Foundation. Of course, is my buddy Kate and Alexandrova. I've got to practice Kate's name.
No, it was you made it
that time.
easy.
Dave, what can a person, just a regular resident here do, say with their yard, to help keep the Chesapeake Bay clean?
There are a lot that people can do in their personal lives and around their homes to help with the bay, make their local waterways clean, and by extension the bay. One of the biggest problems we face throughout the entire region when it comes to clean water is the amount of water that's running off our properties, as well as our farms upstream, but the amount of water that's running off our properties into our waterways and then into the bay. So the first thing people can do is in their yard, do your work in your yard in a bay-friendly manner. What you want to happen, you want your yard to be kind of like a green sponge, because the problem we have is that there's too many hard surfaces. As the population grows in this region, we've got more driveways, more parking lots, more buildings. So wherever we have green spaces, like your yard, you want to turn it into a sponge. You want to make sure the water filters through your property, and you want to make sure that you don't over-fertilize your yard. So it all starts with the soil. You want to get a soil test. You want to make sure if you even need any, you want to find out if you need any fertilizer, and if you do fertilize, you want to put the right amount of fertilizer down, because if you have too much, it'll run off your yard with the rains, it'll go into our sewer system, make its way to local waterways in the bay.
Dave, Dave Slater, Chesapeake Bay Foundation, what are some of the pieces of legislation that you're pushing? I'm running for Braddock District Supervisor in Fairfax County this year, for example. Dave, what at a local level, excuse me, could we advance for the Fairfax County government that would help keep our bay cleaner?
Well, fortunately, Fairfax is really a very forward-thinking jurisdiction when it comes to taking pushing stormwater action that will benefit the bay. A lot of people don't realize nearly 70% of the streams in Fairfax County are impaired in some manner. So this has impacts. If there's a heavy rain, you don't want your kids or your pets going near these waters because of all the fertilizer, toxic chemicals from the streets, everything else that's washing into our waterways. That's really kind of unthinkable.
We shouldn't let the kids play in the creeks.
Yeah, not after a heavy rain, absolutely. Okay. And it shouldn't be that way. So fortunately, Fairfax is doing a great job of getting its stormwater polluted runoff systems underway. They're also doing a good job in Fairfax with kind of cutting through the bureaucracy that we see in a lot of other jurisdictions. But statewide, these are huge issues. It's going to take a lot of money statewide to tackle these stormwater problems, to get enough money and to fight any rollbacks that might be proposed in the upcoming legislative session.
So that means electing people in the 2015 elections for House of Delegates and State Senate who will advocate some of these. What one piece of legislation you want to see move forward in the coming General Assembly in January, February 2015?
We want to see strong appropriation dollars for cost share money on farms to help farmers reduce the sort of runoff that we've been talking about. So we're looking for strong cost share money. We're looking to ensure that there aren't any rollbacks in existing stormwater legislation.
Kate, did you have something you wanted to?
Well, I wanted to pinpoint that Chesapeake Bay Foundation helps to improve life in more ways than one, and this is actually an interesting fact. I know that you planted over 29 million water filtering oysters in the bay.
Really?
Yes, and those are completely edible.
Yeah.
As I've learned. Can you tell me a little bit about how that ecosystem works?
Yeah, well, that's one of the neat things. Carey was asking what sort of things people can do around their home, but they also can come out and volunteer with us to do projects like that, hands-on projects on the water. And even folks from Fairfax, we have a Grasses for the Masses program where folks cultivate underwater grasses in their homes, and we transplant them at places like Mason Neck State Park. So, but the oyster program that you're talking about, Kate, oysters a single oyster can filter up to 50 gallons of water a day. So centuries ago when Captain John Smith came up the bay, it was said that the very plentiful population of oysters in the bay could filter the bay's water in the entire bay in the matter of a few days. Well, that population has plummeted. It's at roughly 1% of its historic high. But still, the filtering role that oysters play is very important. And fortunately, oysters are one of those species that is seeing a resurgence, in part because of these restoration activities that are underway right now.
And I know you have, a bunch of educational programs, and you actually taught about 35,000 teachers and students about the importance and the ways to keep the bay clean.
Yeah, we have an extraordinary education program because we believe that unless a kid really experiences a certain ecosystem and kind of learns about the bay, they're not going to love it and fight to protect it like they would, just sitting at home. So we take kids right out on the bay, out on the rivers and streams, and we get their hands wet and they pick up the crabs and they really learn about the issues and the solutions and the challenges. And through the years, we've brought more than 1 million kids and teachers and principals out on the bay. And we've seen over the decades, some of these kids end up in environmental jobs in other states and in our region, and it's really gratifying.
Dave Slater, Chesapeake Bay Foundation. How do they get in touch with you, Dave? Phone number, email, website?
We're, the best place to contact us is at our headquarters in Annapolis, and our website is very rich, and it's at cbf.org.
And I see that you brought some literature over here.
Yeah, one of the things we're very excited about is our new economic report, which really shows that the cleanup plan for the Bay is going to provide tremendous economic benefits for this region. In Virginia alone, this is a peer-reviewed study, $8 billion in economic benefits in 1 year from the Chesapeake Clean Water Blueprint when it's implemented.
Dave Slater, Chesapeake Bay Foundation. Phone number. Folks need a phone number. Folks need an email address.
The phone number for us, the best one to get us at is...
Didn't mean to put you on the spot there.
202-544-2232.
Do it one more time.
202-544-2232. And again, cbf.org is our website, and you'll find all our contact information there.
David, we've got a couple minutes left. Of course, you're watching Green TV, the show that focuses on positive Green New Deal solutions. And as Dave Slater, the Chesapeake Bay Foundation, just told you, keeping the bay clean means, just say $8 billion worth of jobs?
$8 billion in Virginia alone. That's the economic
alone.
Benefit, yes.
That's just amazing. Kate, you keep going to your great notes there. What else you got?
You know, I
put you on the spot. Dave, tell us a little bit.
You're known for doing it now.
Dave, tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe.
Yeah, about myself?
Sure.
Oh, well, I've worked at Chesapeake Bay Foundation for 8 years or so, but I've worked in environmental advocacy for 20 years or so. I've worked on the international level and on the national level, and working at Chesapeake Bay Foundation on the regional and local level is really a very satisfying part of it. When you're protecting a place that's right in your backyard and working with all the key players in the region, it's really fun. And I think what a lot of people don't realize is that the Chesapeake Bay is actually improving. And you know, you get a lot of mixed messages around all these environmental issues right now, I think, but the Bay is improving, and this plan that's in place, if we follow through, it goes all the way through 2025, but it is evaluated very rigorously on 2-year milestones. If we can follow this through to 2025, it's going to be a success, and it's going to have tremendous benefits for the species, but also for our children and for the region.
So we're really talking about our drinking water, all of what we need just to survive out of the Chesapeake Bay. 30 seconds I see, so it's time now to say, Dave Slater, Chesapeake Bay Foundation, thank you so much for joining us on Green TV. Kate Alexandrova, a pleasure as always. Thank you so much for joining us on Green TV, the show that focuses on independent Green Party and Green Party candidates and Green New Deal solutions, solar jobs, wind jobs, geothermal jobs, rail jobs. Thanks, Dave Slater, the Chesapeake Bay Foundation, and Kate Alexandrova, and all the fantastic work of those good-looking people in the control room. Thanks for watching Green TV. We'll see you next time.
Aiken, and I'm running for chairwoman of the DC City Council with the DC Statehood Green Party. So let me tell you why I am running with that party and for what some of my main issues are. I have been a Green since I was in college and took ecology before anybody even knew what the word meant, because I knew it would be one of the critical issues of the age. Then I came to Washington the day after President Kennedy was elected. I had worked on his campaign in Iowa, and I was very excited to be there. But I didn't know that I would spend 53 years there and never ever be able to vote for a member of Congress or have any influence over how my tax money was spent. So 3 years ago, when I had the opportunity to be involved in politics, I chose the DC Statehood Green Party because we need statehood, and we certainly need to preserve the environment and grow the environment and make the many changes that are necessary. You can see some of my statements on my blog, which is GLEEAIKIN, GLEAIKIN.blogspot.com. I would say my best post there is one on fighting the XL pipeline and all the different problems with transporting carbon-based fuels, which is a very important issue. My other most important issue is the fact that I discovered actually about 10 years ago that my taxes were much higher than they had been a few years before that with no change in income. I finally discovered that a benefit that we had when we got home rule in 1973, which was that our deductions and exemptions on income tax had been similar to the federal deductions, had not been increased very much. The Fed goes up with inflation, but in DC it was going up when the predominantly Democratic council would raise it. So I began fighting for that. I testified before the Tax Revision Commission twice, and they recommended that we couple our rates with the federal rates, and that will put $85 million back in the pockets of low and middle income earners, but not people earning more than $150,000. Unfortunately, they're going to phase it in, so the impact on neighborhood businesses will be much smaller than it would be if they could have done the whole thing this year. And that's one of the very important things I'm going to be pushing for and enlightening the public on as I go out on the campaign trail. Thank you very much. G. Lee Aiken.